Hey guys, Nathan from Arms of Illum here with another review today. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you've probably seen that I've been on a bit of a helmet tear as of late. I guess I kind of wanted something to go along with the sabers, and helmets were a natural fit for me, no pun intended, because I've always kind of collected them, albeit not Star Wars helmets, but I do have a bit of a history of doing this. We've got a number of World War II / Cold War era helmets that are in the collection already. The military is something that has always interested me, and I guess it now translates into Star Wars collecting too in some ways. So a few months ago I picked up Hasbro's Black Series Stormtrooper helmet, and I was really impressed with the quality of that piece for the price. I did a written review of it a while back. You can check that out on the website. I'll put a link in the description of this video, but I won't talk a whole lot about it here. I then went ahead and purchased the Shadow Trooper, the Amazon exclusive model, to go along with it, just because I've always been a bit of a Stormtrooper fan, I guess. Long live the Empire. But regardless, I also picked up a third piece lately, and it's in this kind of the same vein of being a budget helmet that's a little bit better than it probably should be for the price. And so today we're going to be taking a look at that, and that helmet is the Boba Fett Deluxe helmet from Rubies. Now, if you're familiar with the costuming or prop collecting scene as far as Star Wars is concerned, you know that Rubies has a bit of a dubious reputation. If you compare them to folks like EFX, the old Master Replica stuff, Novos, and a large number of fan produced materials out there, and they're probably well behind that pack. But the thing that Rubies does have going for them is that, one, they are licensed pieces, but two, they do have a few things that are a few products that are surprisingly good, or at least can be made to be surprisingly good with a little bit of effort. I think, based on what I've read prior to purchasing this helmet, and now having seen it in person, this qualifies as one of those pieces. So I'm going to kind of give you guys an overview as to what makes this helmet at least pretty good, and then we'll talk about some of the things that need to be changed in order to really make it a true Fett replica, or at least a good display piece, because that's what it's going to be for me. It's not really, I don't troop, I don't do anything like that. Mainly this is gonna hang out in my theater and look badass. So we'll start with the bad news, and then we'll kind of go into the more positive pieces of the helmet. So when I first got this from Amazon, and I did purchase it from Amazon, even though this was originally, I think Target was the first place here in the US that these appeared. This one came from Amazon. Target doesn't sell these anymore. But the first thing that when I pulled it out of the package, I noticed was that it really does flex quite a lot. If you squeeze it from the sides, I mean, you can see the whole bottom, especially the bottom of the helmet there, just kind of, it's flexing. Now the reason for that, if you take a closer look here, is that it's the plastic used on this, and it is plastic, very plasticky, is just not that thick. The helmet itself really only weighs in at, I believe, 1 pound 1 ounce, or a little over 1 ounce. So it's not like it's heavy. The Black Series helmet that I have actually is almost double that weight, a little over double that weight. So this feels light. So definitely not something that you're gonna beat on, at least not with a little bit of upgrade. Also, the paint, and I'm gonna kind of spin the helmet around slowly here, isn't very good at all. Now I think what they're trying to go for here, based on the scheme, is an Empire Strikes Back replica. Part of the reason I say that is the colors of the earpieces over here, and some other coloration details on the helmet. But there are also some things that are kind of Return of the Jedi to it as well. So it's a little bit of a hybrid. So let's go ahead and spin it around. You can see, point out some details as we go. The first thing that really stands out here is this wear, I guess you can call it, right here. Now on the movie prop, this area of the helmet is just scratched the hell up. I mean, actually a lot of people call it the cat scratch because it kind of starts at the eye and comes up over here. As you can see, Rubies really didn't do much here. This is the whole helmet, as a matter of fact, in terms of wear, looks like it's been kind of recklessly dry brushed, which is a technique that can be used to great effect, but not so much here. Moving on, go ahead and rotate the helmet around. You can see this tan colored earpiece here. Now on the movie prop, this is more of a yellow color. Once again, this is not a big deal. I'm probably going to repaint this helmet. In fact, I will at some point, but that's that. Moving on back, you can see the different shade of green for the back of the helmet. That's as it's supposed to be, but there really isn't hardly any wear here at all. The very back of the helmet does not feature any kind of cutouts, so if you're a real stickler for accuracy, you'll probably want to cut that out. We'll go around. The one thing that's true about the dry brushing or whatever that Rubies has done to this is that it's in the right general areas. I mean, certainly on the movie prop, like there's wear in this area. It's just that it's far more impressive and more realistic looking. You can see the stripes up top. Again, the weathering on those is still a little too geometric. Not like awful, but it's not real great. And then we'll go around to the front here. So as you can see, it's not real impressive. I guess I need to show you the dent, and that's probably the most egregious bit of work there as far as the paint goes. The rest of the dome has similar type paint. So the paint isn't great. The weight of the helmet could use a little work. And if you haven't noticed already, shame on you, but the visor is clear. So I put this helmet on. Oh, hello. You can see me clearly. I don't know if you can hear me clearly, but it's a clear visor. It's also acrylic, and it doesn't flex at all. I've heard from people, I haven't had this happen yet, but I've heard that this visor is fairly fragile, so prone to cracking. But I can't quite understand why Rubies didn't go for a tinted visor on this helmet. The fact of the matter is that as far as Star Wars helmets go, particularly if you're comparing it to like a Stormtrooper helmet, the Mandalorian buckets are actually offer pretty good visibility. So it's not exactly like putting the clear piece in there is somehow making up for poor visibility. A tinted piece would be perfectly fine. But we have a clear visor here. This is definitely going to be getting replaced at some point. And I believe tvisor.com is the place to get a replacement. So those are some of the downsides. I think the only other part that's really worth mentioning here is that the stock for the rangefinder is about 1.5 inches to 2 inches too short, and it's plastic. Since it's plastic, I'm almost glad it's short, but it doesn't quite look right. I think to the untrained eye, most people are going to be alright with that, but to folks who are true Star Wars fans, they might notice that. It does rotate down though, for whatever that's worth. And then rotates back up. It's kind of a sloppy, it locks in place, in the upright position, but then when it's down, it doesn't lock in place. So if you tip you can see it kind of wobbles there. So I leave it up most of the time. Anyway, so those are really the only downsides, though. All of them are correctable. I plan to put fiberglass inside the helmet to thicken it up and give it some additional rigidity inside. That should address the first issue of both weight and the flexibility of the plastic. As I mentioned, I'm going to be replacing the visor with one from tvisor.com, and I'll be repainting the helmet. It seems like a daunting task from a paint standpoint, but if you go on the Dented Helmet forums, there are a number of awesome templates that people have put together, even almost like paint by color approaches with some of the Humbrol paints to really get the perfect paint scheme to replicate either The Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. So I'll probably be doing that as well. I don't know if I'll go into quite the detail that some of those folks have. I'm not exactly equipped for airbrushing and any of that. But it'll be a fun project at some point when I decide to tackle it. I think the final thing that really stands out on this guy, although probably not as much as you might think, is if you take a look, like, those arrows there are just not centered at all. I don't even know how that happens. I mean, I suppose I know how it happens. The dome hasn't been installed correctly, but for a helmet that looks otherwise perfect, I'm not quite sure how that gets so off-center. So, a few issues with this, but it's still really excellent for a couple of reasons. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of work to get this to where I'd like it to be, and most Boba Fett fans would probably look at this and say, "Oh my God, that needs a lot of work." But the most important thing about this helmet is that it's the proper shape and size. There have been a number of different fan-made replicas, and even from fairly well-regarded sources that have really not gotten this right. I mean, I'm thinking back to like maybe some of the Dawn Post models or similar, where the helmets don't flare out like they're supposed to. Like if you look at this guy straight on, you can tell it's wider at the bottom than it is at the tops. Some folks that have tried to replicate this helmet have made this straight-walled sides, and it just ends up far too small, far too narrow. This is a one-to-one replica with the proper overall dimensions and shape. The shape of the helmet really isn't easy to fix. Yes, you can do it with work, but it's important to have a helmet that's properly shaped from the get-go. This is that. The other thing that stands out as being really well done here is the way this helmet's constructed. Now, if you're just holding it in your hands and taking a look at it, especially from the outside, you're not going to see any seams. And at first you might think that it's a one-piece helmet. Now, I don't think Rubies is ever going to be turning out at least a one-piece Boba Fett helmet, but the pieces are remarkably well hidden, especially compared to like their Jango Fett, which has a split down the center of the dome, cross-sectionally kind of. This guy's really smartly constructed. Now, if you take a look inside, see if I can get a good shot of it, you can see that on each side here, both here and over here, you can see a seam, this jagged puzzle piece type edge. That's where the front and the back of the helmet kind of come together. This helmet is in probably 4 or 5 different pieces, depending on exactly how this dome is constructed, but you basically got the back of the helmet, the front of the helmet, the dome, the earpieces, and then, if you want to count it, the rangefinder. But all of that is really well hidden because those seams I just showed you sit underneath pieces over here. So really well thought out. I'm very impressed with how that looks. There are no visible seams on the outside, so kudos to Rubies for doing that. The final thing that really surprised me was when I opened this out of the box. Obviously, the first thing I'm going to do is, after I look at it for a second, is put it on. The inside of the helmet really only has, and I'll try and get this in proper lighting, it just has a foam ring. It's really, it seems so minimalist, and I'm looking at that, I'm like, that's kind of cheesy. There's no way that's going to work. Well, let me show you. The helmet is on, and now that it's on, it actually fits really well. So that surprised me. But other than that, I think those are really the main points. It's important to note, like I said, that for a $50 helmet from Amazon, this is really well done. The shape's right, the size is right. It does fit. It's constructed well enough, and with a few different small tweaks here and there, you could really have a piece that, or large tweaks. I don't want to get ahead of myself or be presumptuous there, but you can have a piece that's really, at least it'll look really good on your shelf, if not be wearable for even some real trooping. So that being said, if you have any questions, be sure to post those in the comments. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to have some more lightsabers coming for you very soon. Thanks for watching.